My name is Erica. I am the founder of Untamed Sovereignty Coaching. I want to open with an idea instead of a hook because it's the clearest way I know to describe what actually happens in this work. Fire doesn't only destroy. Sometimes it reveals. It burns away what was never true and leaves standing what actually is. That's the process underneath everything I teach. I am a neuroscience-based life coach, a somatic healing practitioner, and a folklore scholar. And I built a method around exactly that idea. The work I do is built around 3 checkpoints. The first lands early, usually by your second live session. This is where the earliest untrue thing about you starts to burn off quietly, usually noticed by someone who loves you before you notice it in yourself. The second lands around the midpoint. I build a real check-in into the container specifically for this moment, so there's actual language for what's already shifted, not just a sense that something has, and offers an opportunity for us to shift if that's what's needed. The third lands at the close. By then, what's left standing has real structure to it, not just the absence of what burned away. Something new is built and standing. That's the shape of this work. In a lot of ancient traditions, there's a figure who shows up as fire, and she's almost always been badly misunderstood by whoever's telling the story from the outside. Kali is one of the clearest versions of her. People see the imagery, the destruction, the ferocity, and read her as something to fear. But if you sit with the mythology, Kali's fire was never about destruction for its own sake. It burns away what was never real and leaves what's actually true standing. That's not annihilation. That's revelation. I use figures like Kali, Hekate, the wild woman, Lilith, not as beliefs you have to adopt and not as decoration on top of real clinical work. They are some of the oldest psychological technologies available to women, developed over thousands of years by cultures doing exactly what modern nervous system science is now catching up to explain. In plain terms, so the mythology isn't doing all of the work, this method removes what was never true about you and leaves a version of you that can say what she means without flinching. That's the actual concrete outcome underneath the metaphor, and it's the same outcome I could describe to you with zero mythology at all. I'm using the fire language because it's accurate to how it feels, not because the result needs decoration to be real. I went through my own version of this. Years of being the one who held everything together while quietly disappearing from my own life. The caretaker, the person everyone assumed had it figured out. Precisely because I'd gotten so good at making the performance seamless. What burned away wasn't my competence. It was the belief that my worth depended on managing how palatable I was to everyone around me. My son noticed before I said anything to him. He told me my face started to look different. That's what's actually on the other side of this fire. Not a framework you can recite, a felt, visible difference in how you move through your own life. And I've watched the same fire move through other women since, even though every one of their stories looks different in the shape of what burns. Mythology without specificity is just aesthetics, and I promise you something real. So, let me give you one real piece of it right now. This is the kind of thing women have been doing around fires since long before anyone called it a nervous system practice. Take one slow breath in through your nose, and as you let it out, hum low and steady for as long as the exhale lasts. Not a song, not a performance, just a low, continuous hum until the breath runs out. Do it again. That's it. That's the whole practice. Here's what that's actually doing. The hum creates vibration in your throat, your chest, right along the path of your vagus nerve. And that vibration is one of the most direct ways that exists to signal safety to your body from the inside. This isn't new. Cultures have been humming and chanting and toning for thousands of years, long before anyone had a word for the vagus nerve, because they knew it worked. The research is only now catching up to explain why. The hum on its own won't take you through the whole fire. The rest of it, the somatic practice, the meditations, the sequencing, all of that has to happen live with someone tracking exactly how your particular nervous system responds. Your fire and mine, even if the shape looks similar from the outside, are not the same fire. And so that part I can't hand you in a video. The woman who's been through this says the hard thing in the room, and her shoulders don't climb to her ears afterward. She dances at the sink doing dishes, no audience, actually easy in her own kitchen. She isn't louder, she isn't harder, she's sovereign, which just means she stopped needing permission to take up the space she was always entitled to. Those are the outcomes, not a metaphor. The specific differences by the end, whether or not you ever think about Callie again. Here's my guarantee. Come home to yourself by the end of this container, or I keep working with you for free until you do. Some of that is simply practical. My hours are limited, and I'd rather pour them into getting you an actual result than keep meeting with someone who never arrives, and I get to move on to helping other women. There's real math behind that, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But if I'm being fully honest, the math isn't why. This isn't a job to me. Nothing fills me up the way watching a woman find her way back to herself does. So leaving you without a way through the fire isn't something my conscience would let me do. And once you're actually moving in your own sovereignty, I get to go find the next woman who needs this just as much as you did. Our work together is simple. Live sessions, each one held a sacred space, not a productivity call, built around what's actually alive in your body that week. Between sessions, you have message support with me, so nothing has to wait for the next call. I work with women on this in more than one structure because not everyone is starting from the same place, and matching you to the right one is exactly what the roadmap session is for. This only works if you are willing to actually walk through the fire instead of reading about it from a safe distance. If what you want is a framework you can understand without ever feeling the heat, this isn't the right container for you yet. And that's okay. Just don't book the call. If you're willing to walk through it on purpose with someone who's walked through her own, then this is for you. If something in this video landed somewhere underneath your ribs instead of just in your head, that's the part of you this whole practice is actually built for. Not the part that collects more frameworks. The part that has been waiting for someone to name the fire out loud and tell you it isn't something to survive. It's something to walk through on purpose with someone who's walked through her own. There's a link below to book a roadmap session with me. Come as you are, mid-fire, or long past it. I'd love to talk to you.